Initial reports state that this here is an AK style rifle. Is it really? No. Dan here with Battlefield Curator, and this is a Samozarjedny Karabin Systemy Simonova, otherwise known as the SKS. This is a semi-auto rifle. It's configured more like a sporter. It looks pretty similar to the one in the photo that the police showed the public and showed the news agencies. This one specifically is Chinese manufacture. The SKS is a Russian-designed semi-auto rifle. It was developed during World War II. One of the earliest ones, it was more like a prototype. It kind of saw action at the end of World War II, but the Russian military didn't really adopt it until 1949 when they worked out all the kinks. They had everything they wanted. And then the Russian military said, hey, we're gonna replace this. We no longer need this semi-auto rifle because they have the AK-47. So the AK-47 replaced this in Russia, but a lot of other countries, especially China, adopted the SKS rifle. These rifles are chambered in 7.62 by 3.9, which is a little bit more powerful of a cartridge than the 5.56, but accuracy and range is not as much as a 5.56. Police showed a picture of a rifle that looks similar to this. The similarity of this specific one and the one in the photo, what we can tell is that it has a similar, if not the same, Monte Carlo style stock. There was also a scope that was mounted on there, and usually these scope mounts are mounted specifically on top of the dust cover in the back. It's not the best mounting system, and it can vary the accuracy a little bit. The scope that was on that rifle in the picture, it seems to come out a little further and a little bit longer. This one has an aftermarket flash hider and muzzle compensator. I'm not sure how well that really works on these, but you can see that the barrel length is pretty long here. Now, typically an SKS, you're gonna look at maybe 300 yards max range, max effective range, but the police stated that he was about 400 to 500 yards away. The Secret Service agents, they sweep the golf course ahead of where the VIP is, just to clear it and make sure that there's no threats. That's when they noticed him right then and there, so they engaged the suspect. When you look at a lot of the news agencies, they all call it an AK style rifle. This is actually not an AK style rifle. It's very different. The way the action is very different. The way it was designed was very different. The only reason why they're calling it an AK style rifle is because in the picture you could see that it had a magazine that probably held around 20 to 30 rounds. This one here has got a stock magazine on it, and this holds 10 rounds. So we're only going to be shooting this magazine here with 10 round capability. So what kind of accuracy can we get out of this? Let's take it to the range and find out. We're about 70 to 80 yards away. So yeah, 50 yards, 60 yards, not gonna be a problem for somebody with SKS, especially with a scoped SKS and if they're in a prone supported position and they know what they're doing, right? And Mr. Guns and Gear, go check out his channel. He did a pretty good in-depth video on the whole position of where the shooter was and how he thinks that the shooter was just waiting to ambush former President Trump when he came down all the way through to the golf course to that specific hole that he was positioned at, which would have been about 60 yards. But let's take the SKS and let's see what it could be capable of at maybe further ranges with a better scope. All right, so here is a SKS that's been heavily modified by its previous user. You can see that they reduced the weight on the front by taking off the front sight post and the bayonet lug, or the bayonet holder. It's got detachable Archangel mags. It's got a mag wedge rail system, which is a lot sturdier than what the other SKS had. The other SKS had a dust cover scope mount. This one, the scope mount is actually a mag wedge, and it connects to the receiver in the back, and it connects to the up there, or the rear sight is usually supposed to be. It's got a Vortex Strike Eagle 1:6x24 scope on there, and it's got like an SVD type polymer stock. Also includes a double cheek riser. Yeah, because that scope sits pretty high. Probably not the best stock that somebody could have on this, but I guess for the time being, that's what they had. All right, so my best shot group with off-the-shelf PPU ammo is right there. At about 50 yards, that's about a 1.5 inch MOA. So let's do some math. All right, so I shot 1.5 MOA at 50 yards. If we estimate that out to 100 yards, that's 3 MOA, 6 MOA at 200 yards, and 12 MOA guesstimated at 400 yards. So that's a whole foot at 400 yards of variance accuracy-wise. Now, that's not even accounting for bullet drop. The 7.62x3.9, specifically PPU FMJ on ammo.com, shows with a 0-inch drop at 100 yards, you'll notice a 6.1-inch drop at 200 yards, 22.4-inch drop at 300 yards, 52.3-inch drop at 400 yards, and a 100.8-inch drop at 500 yards. Even with about 12 inches of variance at 400 yards, you're also going to experience a 52.3-inch drop at that yard as well. Honestly, in my opinion, this is not really a suitable rifle for any kind of long-range engagements. The MOA at shorter ranges is not that great. And, you know, it's probably good for going to your backyard, going hog hunting, going maybe deer hunting if you got some land. Probably nothing greater than, you know, maybe 100 or 200 yards. It wasn't a rifle that was built for long-range accuracy. Now, the SKS rifle in general is a very well-coveted surplus rifle that is somewhat cheap in the military surplus community. They've gotten more expensive over time, and it just seemed to be a favorite for folks. It's just an awesome platform to just take out and plink. Some people take it out in short-range hunting, and some people take it out hog hunting. Would I think that the suspect would have been able to shoot at 300 to 500 yards? Possibly. It's very unlikely, I think, that he would have hit anything, though, because those ranges kind of are out of this weapon system's capabilities. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments section. And as always, I like to say, be sure to learn history and curate history. Pulverize the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Make it a great day.